Hi, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to Thursday's Live with Chugh. Each week, we cover pressing topics that matter to you and your business. As you may already be aware, Chugh LLP is a full-service legal, immigration, and tax firm serving businesses here in the United States, in India, and around the world. My name is Gladys Gervacio. I'm a partner and immigration attorney based out of our Los Angeles office. For today's topic, we will cover President Biden's travel policy requiring that foreign nationals be fully vaccinated prior to traveling to the US. This is expected to take effect next month. But before we dive into our topic, just a quick disclaimer that this event does not constitute legal advice. It does not create attorney-client relationship. It is intended purely for general information purposes only, and any information derived from this session should be independently verified before acting upon them. Also, feel free to enter your questions on this topic into the chat box at any time during the presentation. I will try to answer them live. Please note, though, that I will not answer case-specific questions. You can email those to me. I will provide my contact details at the end of the session. And now that we've got our housekeeping rules out of the way, I think we are ready to start on the topic. So on September 20, President Biden announced that beginning in early November, the US will be putting in place strict protocols to prevent the spread of COVID by requiring adult foreign nationals traveling to the US to be fully vaccinated. So currently you have foreign nationals that are subject to the presidential proclamation suspending entry to the US if they've been in certain countries where there are high COVID infection rates within the last 14 days. So these countries are the countries in the Schengen area, the UK, Ireland, Iran, China, Brazil, South Africa, and India. So if you've been present in these countries in the last 14 days, you are not allowed to enter the US unless you have a national interest exception. So that's the current situation. But with this new policy, the US administration will no longer require the national interest exception waiver. And what it would require is the proof of the traveler being fully vaccinated. So let's go over some frequently asked questions on this topic. Of course, what everyone wants to know is, when does this new policy take effect? We're all awaiting the official announcement. They did say during the briefing or the announcement that it is expected to take effect in early November, but as for the exact date, we don't have that yet. We're all waiting for that, and our office will keep you updated on this exact date of the new policy. So the second question would be, who will be affected? All foreign national travelers would be affected, but it would, of course, significantly affect those travelers who have been physically present in the last 14 days from the countries that I earlier mentioned, because they would no longer require the NIE. What about US citizens? Are they also going to be affected by these changes? Well, currently all air passengers traveling to the US, including US citizens, are required to show proof of a negative COVID test within 3 days prior to boarding your flight. What we do know is that if you're a US citizen who is not vaccinated, you will be required to be tested within 1 day from returning to the US and after you arrive. So it is still unclear whether they will require quarantine upon arrival. So we're awaiting more details on this issue. Will there be any restrictions on traveling to the US once the change takes effect? This travel policy again will require that you demonstrate, if you're a foreign national, you will demonstrate that you have proof of a full COVID-19 vaccination before boarding boarding your flight. So, and then for unvaccinated US citizens, you'll also likely be tested 1 day prior to boarding and after you arrive. And airlines will be required to collect information from travelers to facilitate contact tracing if needed. So what does full vaccination mean? According to CDC, a person is considered fully vaccinated 2 weeks or 14 days from after the second dose in a 2-dose series. That would be Moderna and Pfizer for us, and 2 weeks after a single dose vaccine, such as Johnson & Johnson vaccine. So you have to be fully vaccinated prior to traveling to the US. Which vaccines are going to be accepted to be considered fully vaccinated? So initially they did not indicate, but I think the CDC spokesperson came out recently and confirmed that only vaccines that are FDA approved or authorized, and those that have been authorized for emergency use by the World Health Organization will be accepted. So as of today, for FDA, you have Moderna, Pfizer, and the Johnson & Johnson vaccines. And with the World Health Organization, you have those 3, plus the Sinovac, Sinopharm, Oxford, AstraZeneca, and Covishield. So it would appear, of course, that if the World Health Organization does authorize or approve other vaccines, then those vaccines will also be accepted for international travel. So our office will closely monitor this and provide additional updates. What will be considered acceptable proof of vaccination? Again, the details have not been provided as of this time, but as it currently stands, I think you can expect that they will require some physical document showing your COVID-19 vaccination record, which would include, of course, your name, the date when you got your vaccines, and the type of vaccines that you received. Who will be accepted from the full vaccination requirement for foreign nationals? I think it was announced that exceptions would be extremely limited or narrow, such as for children, COVID-19 clinical trial, COVID-19 vaccine clinical trial participants, and those that would travel due to urgent humanitarian reason, with the requirement that upon arrival, they would immediately get vaccinated. How would these changes impact land travel to the US from Canada or Mexico? So just a few days ago, DHS Secretary Mayorkas announced that it will now allow travelers from Mexico and Canada who are fully vaccinated to enter the US, even for non-essential purposes. So even for tourism, if you're fully vaccinated, you will be allowed to enter through the borders, Mexico, Canada. And this will occur in 2 phases. So for the first phase, in November, they also again announced that it would be in November, CBP will begin allowing fully vaccinated travelers from Mexico or Canada to enter the US at the land and ferry port of entry for non-essential reasons. You have to have proof of your full vaccination status, and still allowing essential travel for non-vaccinated people. So essential travel, the students, the healthcare workers, the truckers, even if they're not fully vaccinated, they will still be allowed to travel in November. Now, beginning early January 2022, DHS will require that all inbound foreign nationals traveling or crossing the US land or ferry port of entries, whether for essential or non-essential reasons, that they be fully vaccinated too and provide proof of the vaccination. So the reason for this 2-phase approach is to give these essential travelers sufficient time to get their vaccines. Okay. Another question is, how long before my trip do I have to have the vaccine? Does it matter if I just had one? So again, as I previously mentioned, you would be required to be fully vaccinated. So that means you meet the definition of a fully vaccinated person. So you want to time your travel at least 2 weeks after you received your last dose in a 2-dose series, or after you received your Johnson & Johnson, 2 weeks after you received your Johnson & Johnson vaccine. Should I plan my travel to the US from a country that was subject to the presidential proclamation? So I would say wait for the official announcement on when this new travel policy will take effect. You want to know, of course, what requirements you would need to carry before you travel and other documents to ensure compliance with COVID and immigration guidelines. So I would wait until the official dates and details are announced. I have the necessary visa stamp or ESTA documents. Do I still need the national interest exception before I travel? Well, right now, yes, if you are still covered by the presidential proclamation, but once the date and the details are confirmed to lift the existing travel bans, you should be permitted to travel directly to the US if you are fully vaccinated. And you have all the applicable travel documents on hand. Okay, another question is, when I get to the US, do I have to take another COVID test? Probably not. It doesn't appear that fully vaccinated persons who enter the US have to present a negative test after arriving, but travelers should always confirm the details before they travel. What if I'm outside the US and my visa expired? How will this new policy affect me? There's no indication that the new travel policy will affect operations at the US embassies and consulates. If you require a visa stamp, you are still required to go for visa stamping, of course, and follow the required process. The lifting of the travel restrictions would not impact, what's currently in place at the US consular post. And also keep in mind that some consulates are still operating at a limited capacity right now. So just take a note of that. Okay, what other questions do we have? Won't requiring vaccination be highly inequitable, especially for countries with low vaccine access? Well, the administration did answer this question, and they believe that the vast majority of travelers entering the US will be able to access a vaccine. And for those who do not have access to the vaccine and they have an urgent and compelling reason to travel to the US, that would be part of the limited exceptions that they would allow, with, again, the requirement that they be vaccinated after arrival to the US. And at this point, let me check if there are any questions in the chat box. Okay, so I think that's it. Again, we're still waiting for more details. Our office will update as soon as the government makes the official announcement on this new travel policy. But before we end today's session, I just want to thank you all for watching. If you missed this live session, or if you have additional questions, please feel free to email me at gladys.gervacio@chugh.com. You can also send in your questions to info@chugh.com. So please do tune in to our weekly live sessions every Thursday. It's at 11 a.m. Pacific time and 2 p.m. Eastern time for more critical insights on how to help your business thrive. Be sure to follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube to get notified when our live events begin. Please also visit our website at www.chugh.com. And I think that would be it. Thank you again for watching and enjoy the rest of the day.